real honor for me and a privilege to be able to welcome you to the 2026 Julius Nyerere Leadership Lecture and Youth Conversations. In a way, today, April the 13th, Mwalimu's actual birthday, we are gathering here to commemorate the life and legacy of Mwalimu Julius Nyerere. Mwalimu Julius Nyerere reminded us that leadership is not about power, but it's about service. It's not about control, but about responsibility.
If leadership is the problem, how do we produce better leaders? Organize, not just react. Build credibility in one area, not everywhere, and enter spaces where decisions are made, not just where conversations are happening. There are young people today who tweet brilliantly about governance, but they cannot point to one community they have organized. There are influencers who can mobilize thousands online, but cannot sit through a policy meeting and influence one decision. That is the gap we must close.
To make Africa better, we must revisit the fundamental truth Mwalimu championed, that unity is not an option, it is a necessity for survival. To the young change makers present here, do not be silent observers. Your energy and fresh perspective are exactly what Africa needs to address modern challenges in governance and development.
The challenge you see is not the absence of good leaders, as we said, but the challenge is the clarity of the vision of where we are going. If the vision is clear enough, we can have an issue-based conversation to say, in the next 40 years, we want Arua City to become the biggest commercial hub in the region. And for that to happen, me as Leonardo Lawrence, I am proposing 1, 2, 3 things. And Dr. Susie says, I am also running for mayor, and I want Arua City to get there, but I am proposing these other issues. And then we can be able to isolate characters and personal weaknesses and focus on proposals made, and even to give us a better chance to hold leaders accountable, by the way, because they campaigned on issues, and on those issues we're able to hold them accountable.
When you look at President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the last time he addressed media, he said he's 81 years old. 81 years old, he has led this country. Now that we are in 2026 and he started in 1986, we are counting 40 years. So 40 years minus 81, you get 41. 41, he was just starting. There are those 6 years he spent in the bush. So 41 minus 6, you end up with what? 30, 35. 1980, he was only going to the bush. He went to the bush because his election was rigged. An election is prepared for in 5 years. So when you subtract the 5 from the 35, he's 30. He's 30, and his colleagues that he was with, General Mugisha Muntu, General Kahindo Tafire, General Salim Saleh, all of them are younger than him. So the question is, he was 30, how old were they? When was he a minister? He was a minister in this country. At which age? Now, that should be enough inspiration for us to read through and understand that people started to plan of what our country is going to look like now 40 years down the road when they were youths.
You can start where you are. Today we have got so much comfort that unless Julius Nyerere has invited and provided comfortable seats, we cannot debate, but we had it in Makerere. We started at the terrace,
Yes.
Lumumba Terrace.
I think it was Confucius, I beg to be guided, who said, I cried because I had no shoes until I met people with no feet. So often in time, it's a loop. We are desiring to have and have and have, losing sight of where we are and what we have.
I realized leadership doesn't have to be, you don't have to take the political route to lead. You can lead in many ways. And I found myself building a tourism company because I was leading, right? I never intend out to lead, but it just happens. And that's what leadership is. Leadership is taking the responsibility to make these type of changes in people's lives, creating opportunities.
There is no right time. At the point we feel agitated, at the point you want to serve leadership, it is when we are going to point at you as the most weakest. You're the youngest. But you also need to present yourself as the best alternative. You don't have me, you colleagues, you're gone.